Artists, creatives, and designers, welcome to Dream Aloud Art, the podcast where creatives are educated on seeing value in themselves and their creations. Presented to you by RTA, respecttheartist.com. I'm your host, fellow creative and friend, Electra B. Frederick. Let's go. Oh my goodness. Electra, I don't know how I'm going to sell my art if I'm an introvert. It's just a problem for me. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Do you know how many DMs I've received like that on Instagram? Do you know? That's a real question. Do you know? Because I don't know. Okay. I've received quite a bit of messages inquiring on how you as an artist are going to flourish if you don't step outside of yourself. That's what it translates to me. It translates as, or at times, okay, there are always exceptions, but it translates to me that the individual is saying that they need to drop a side of them, a part of them that they identify with, that they need to drop it in order to succeed. And of course, the DMs, the messages, the emails are a lot more detailed, where they're explaining why they feel like it's a challenge for them. And I want to open up this moment to simply highlight that you are going to have to do the inner work. Okay. We're diving into spirituality, right? You're going to have to do the inner work to determine what are the things that are truly a part of you. It's in your DNA. And what are the things that you have added on to yourself as though it is a part of you. But I'm not going to go all into that because that could be a whole separate podcast in itself. So I'm not going to dive all into that world. But I will say once again, that's something that you're going to have to determine. Is this something that's truly a part of who you naturally are? Or, as I said earlier, is this something that you just chose to identify with and carry for years and years and years, and then now you're trying to figure out how to, finagle your way out of this situation? So let's focus on the idea that you are an introverted artist. You consider yourself an introvert. And you know how I roll. I'm going to reference good old-fashioned Merriam-Webster's dictionary. We're going to talk about the definition, and I'm going to go into examples again, because this podcast is titled Why It Pays to Be an Introverted Artist, right? We're going to go into the advantages of you owning up to being an introverted artist, right? And goodness, there's so much content out there and so many different perspectives and opinions, point of views, articles, websites. I mean, pick something. There's always somebody just sharing what's on their mind, including this podcast, right? I'm sharing information, education, and my perspective on different things. So there's so much out there that we cherry pick what it is that we want to believe. We will selectively believe certain things. And it goes back to an artist who is reaching out to me and asking, well, in order for me to, again, this is how I will sum it up. In order for me to succeed, I can't be introverted. You know what? You can. And once again, you have to actually own up and be honest with yourself about yourself, about the things that you easily identify with as part of your natural DNA. Okay. So in other words, if you identify with someone who is, and again, we'll dive into the definitions here. So you and I are on the same page. If you identify with those things and you are more of that person who is to themselves and whatnot, right? then that is not something to push away. That is not something to act like it's such a disadvantage, as I was noting earlier, with so many opinions and points of views out here. It is not a disadvantage for you to own up that you are a more introverted person and to respect that you are, right? Because if this is a part of your natural your natural state, you feel most natural in this particular mode or in this energy or in this state, okay? Then why would you want to stuff that away, put it away, store it in the attic, hide it under the shelf, put it in the closet? Why would you want to do that? It's not necessary. And the more you own it, the more that it will pay you. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to give you 3 examples in connection to the definition of introvert and what it means to be introverted. So referencing Merriam-Webster, so you and I are on the same page, right? As far as what definition we're going to work with. So Merriam-Webster defines introverts as a noun. A noun. I said that really quick. A person whose personality is characterized by introversion, which would be a typically reserved or quiet person who tends to be introspective and enjoys spending time alone. That sounds perfectly fine to me. Why couldn't that person be successful? Now, as a consultant, I will tell you, you need to really define what success means to you. What success means to you, not just monetarily, because everyone goes right to the monetarily, right? But what does success look like to you personally? What does success look like to you in your personal life? Let me say it like that. In your personal life, what does success look like to you as far as how your time is managed? What does success look like in all areas, if you will? I'll just be general in this moment. But what does success even look like to you? Because again, dear artist, why are you messaging or emailing me venting about how you're frustrated about you being introverted and how it's going to prevent you from being successful, but you have yet to even define what success looks like? So what are we doing here? I feel like we're going in a circle. And I want to say this too. Sometimes I'm a different vibe for the artist when I have a consultation because they're not used to someone who will give them their honest and truthful perspective. They may be looking for someone who's just going to pat them on the back and tell them it's going to be okay. Well, you may need to contact someone else because that's not, how is that helping you? So for my own style of this podcast or just communicating with you, or even when an artist reaches out to me and contacts me, I'm going to give you my honest perspective in this moment with the information that you've provided me. So again, how are you going to be frustrated about, I don't think I'm going to be successful, when you don't even know what that looks like to you in this moment? Like you don't even have an idea of what success looks like to you. So why get frustrated about it? And if you own being who you are, if you own that, then along with owning that, you'll be able to hone in on what success is to you. So I'll say that differently. If you know you're more introverted and you're not interested in interacting with 6,000 people, then you can own it, right? Own it that you only want to work with 20 people, or you only want to have 10 clients per month, because what's important to you is the quality of your relationship with that person or those people. And are you catching what I'm throwing out there? Are you catching what I'm throwing? You can answer in your head, right? You can answer in your head. This is what I teach artists. I'll tell them, like, when you ask questions, like, we're answering in our head. We're answering anyway. It doesn't even have to come out of our mouth. So I hope that you were answering in your head. I certainly hope that someone is catching what I'm tossing out there. I'm throwing your way. So let's continue with Merriam-Webster over here, okay? All right, so let's bounce back. So some examples that they have, they've noted this. So in the definition, it actually says note. Okay, note. They're about to tell us a little something here. So introverts tend to be thoughtful and mindful before taking action. All right. So again, using their example, introverts tend to be thoughtful and mindful before taking action. Now, I want to say this to any of my artists who are listening that identify with being more extroverted. I am a lot more extroverted. I absolutely love, as if I didn't already love to be around people. Okay. I like just naturally enjoying people and their company, learning people. Now, this is not just random. This isn't like put me in any random situation. No, I'm talking about being intentional of my surroundings, where I'm going, and the people that I'm might be interacting with. I can embrace that situation. I love to give compliments to people. I love to engage in conversation to find out their story. I want to know. I'm a naturally curious person. I'm all up in the business if you will let me. And we're not talking about anything that's, give me the last four of your social and your mother's maiden name. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, tell me, where are you from? What interests you? And then, of course, those conversations where I can dive deeper with one individual. I love that. There's something going on there for me energetically when I'm interacting with a group or with an audience or with a class. Like, it charges me up. So any of my artists that are listening that identify with being more extroverted, that does not mean that you have a one-up on an introverted person, right? That doesn't mean, and I used to think this, right? I used to think, oh, because I'm extroverted, I'm winning. I mean, what is the goal? Once again, like, what is the goal? Like, is it me competing against an introverted person to see just how many people we can talk to by the end of the month? Like, how am I winning in that way? No, if I own up to who I am, I'm already winning by just owning it. I don't need to like try to prove something. I don't need to like go all extra, be all extra. I don't need to do all of that. I don't need to volunteer to speak on everything. I don't need to do all of that. It's being intentional with knowing when you're supposed to speak, right? So there's power in being an extroverted person, and there's power in being an introverted person. Or look, don't get so locked in on the titles and all of that. But I want you to I want to get to a particular point. And that's, of course, the only reason why I'm using the introvert and the extrovert. There is immense power in you just owning up to who you are. You like to talk to people, then roll with it. You don't want to deal with everybody, then roll with it. But you have to own it. And again, the sooner you own up to it, the more clear you can get to understand what is success to you when it's linked when it's linked to your idea of your type, between these types that I'm talking about, right? And there's also an ambivert, someone who's able to, know when they need to be more thoughtful and mindful before taking action. And then when it's time to take action, they go all in. They maybe, they just know when to find the balance, when to pull the card, when to use the card, right? They know when to tap into it. Just like masculine, feminine energy. They know when to tap in, they know when to tap out. Like, okay, cool. That's not like, okay, we're going to put that down over here. Like, so being aware enough to notice when you need to use that. So the first point that I just mentioned about being thoughtful and mindful before taking action as an introvert. This is huge when it deals with clients and customers, potential commission work. Being mindful and not just hopping on any wagon. I'm going to pause on that. I'm going to let you absorb that, because as someone who used to be an extreme extrovert, right? To me, it was like, okay, cool. This looks like an opportunity. Boom, I'm on it. Oh, this looks like an opportunity. Okay, cool. I got to respond. No, I do not. I do not have to respond to absolutely everything that appears to be shiny and bright. You better know who you're connecting with. I have standards. I encourage all of my clients, and I just encourage artists in general, have some standards. And that could, you know what? I may make that the next episode. Have some standards. You should have standards, and you should be mindful about who you're doing business with. This is not from a place of suspicion. This is from a place of truth. Like you should be paying attention to who you're communicating with. You should be mindful of who you do business with. All of these business transactions, if you will, these transactions are relationships that are being formed here. It may look like a small, air quotes, relationship, but they are relationships that you're forming with them, because this person, after the transaction is done, what happens to the relationship? Do you want them to be a repeat customer? Do you want them to be a loyal customer? Well, then you should be providing something that's so valuable, which is yourself. You put yourself in the work that you create, your story, your message, your path, your journey, whatever, all of that. Okay. The meaning, the message, and you are so powerful, so valuable, and so intensely felt, deeply felt, that individual is ready to come back for more. I mean, they're like, yo, I don't know what you're putting out here in this world, but I gotta be a part of that. I gotta feel that energy. And it's a real thing. Okay. So yeah, there is power in being thoughtful and mindful before you're taking action. And that works so well when you're dealing with your customers, when you're deciding on whether or not you want to deal with them and interact with them. Okay? This is about, y'all know, when I'm teaching, especially in my Instagram coaching program, check it out. Go to my Instagram, and which is in the link in the description. Go to my Instagram, hit subscribe. And you'll see a video on the Instagram coaching program. But my clients over there, I'll be hollering this, y'all. I'm hollering the same stuff that I'm talking about here. Okay. Have some standards. Be mindful of who you're interacting with. There is an incredible amount of power involved in that. And again, this is not just about business, y'all. This is about how you live your life. Y'all gonna get me wired up. Okay, I'm trying to make this one a more abbreviated podcast episode, but we gonna see. All right. And some of y'all are looking at the time of the length of this episode, and you're already looking at it like she was talking about it was going to be shorter and abbreviated, and ended up being X amount of time. But we gonna see. We'll see. All right, so the next point that Merriam-Webster annotates in the definition of being an introvert is introverts are interactive with small, intimate settings and small groups. Okay, they're more comfortable in small, intimate settings and small groups. Excuse me, rather than large groups, as at parties. Okay. Again, to my more extroverted artists that are listening, ain't nothing wrong, with being the talker, being the social butterfly, floating around, carrying on, complimenting everyone their brother. I like that. Trust, believe. I love that. I appreciate the privilege to be in the presence of other spiritual beings in human form. I love that. I absolutely love that. Not only that, but I also like to be in someone else's experience in their life. And what that means is that if you envision and I heard this today that really resonated with me. If you on YouTube, there's a YouTuber called I believe it's called The Ultimate Guru. She's bomb. I like her videos. So anyway, she had said something about everyone is looking through the lens of their life as it is their movie. And sometimes I just like to be that extra in someone else's life. Like if you're watching a movie and there's that one extra that just like randomly the camera zooms in on, I like to be that. I don't mind being in someone else's movie at all. Like just, just passing through. Like it's like just passing through. Don't mind me. I like that. It's fun. To me, it's fun because it's most natural for me. But talking about an introvert and how they appreciate small groups, how exactly does it pay to appreciate small groups? Well, the introvert may just be more interested in quality over quantity. Like they don't really care about being in everybody's movie or being in several people's movie. They just want to be in yours. Like say in a small group, they're cool with 5 people because there's so much quality in us honing in and all being fully present and aware in that moment in the conversation. They're good. They're Gucci is how, some of y'all say they're good. They are good over here. They ain't worry about, they ain't worry about trying to entertain everybody and their brother. They're fine. And how that pays, again, using practically the same example as far as people are concerned, they may not even be concerned with 20 billion followers, right? Just put them in the same arena with people who support their vision. It could be 20 people who are real life supporters, like those 20 people that follow you on the gram. They actually follow where you at in real life. You know how many artists out here have like a gabillion followers, but the real question is how many of them would show up if you were in their city? Like how many of those supporters would actually get in their car and drive to go see you? That's the real question. Those are riders. This is someone, using the introverted artist as the example, this is someone who understands the value of quality over quantity. As simple as that. So that's how it pays. The second way of how it pays. There are plenty more ways, right? But we're going to touch on the third one. All right. So continuing, the introvert enjoys spending time alone with self. And I'm going to add doing the work. So that means when they're spending time with themselves, they're examining their thoughts. They're examining their own visions. They're examining the visions that have been given to them. They're in awe with themselves as a creative being. They're learning themselves. They're being so present in themselves, in their body. Do you understand how powerful it is? And to my more extroverted artists, the ones who identify as extrovert, right? Some of y'all realize the power in meditation and just being still, right? So what I learned, I'm laughing because at one time I didn't really learn it, and I was not consistent with it because I wasn't interested enough in understanding the power of being still and the power of going into meditation. I just wasn't that interested. But listen to me when I say there's so much power in it. Some of y'all know, please do not get me hollering. I'm like, I want to holler so much right now. Okay. But I'm not going to holler and do that to your ears. Listen, there is something else that's in motion when you have your body be still. You're allowing something else to do what it's supposed to do. You're allowing your energy to do what it's supposed to do. So how exactly does it pay to be more introverted? Like, how does it pay to be more introverted and be still, right? Or enjoy spending time with yourself? The introvert, and again, I understand an extrovert could be the same way. I'm just getting to a point, and I'm responding to artists who identify with being introvert and they don't see it as a good thing. This is why I'm putting so much emphasis on how powerful you are. You know what I'm saying? So I could make this another episode on being an extroverted artist, because it doesn't matter. You are powerful. You need to own up to who you are and stand in it. Stand in it. Stand firm in who you are. Now, please, I know someone out there is going to take my words and take the words of wisdom and then insert it into some foolishness. It happens, right? Someone misconstrues it and they're just like, oh, I need to stand firm in the fact that I have addictions that are not benefiting my life. No. But again, it's what can I say? I'm just going to speak on what I truly believe in. Your highest, healthiest self. You need to stand in that, and you need to stand firm in that. Okay. So again, let's put some emphasis on how it pays to be more introverted, where you enjoy spending that time with yourself. It benefits and it pays the most, of course, personally, for your own evolution, for your own growth. But when it comes to their creativity, they are going into places and spaces that someone who is maybe too talkative or always in motion or always physically in motion, an introverted artist is going into places and spaces that allow their creativity to do its thing. It's letting their creativity just pour out of them. But they have to visit that place of stillness, right? They have to actually believe there's something happening when they get still. I hope that's clicking. I know it's clicking for some artists out there, okay? So those are 3 ways that there's so much power. Y'all know I love to say power, right? But there's so much power in it, and why it pays to be an introverted artist, right? So the first one, we're going to go over this again. They tend to be thoughtful and mindful, and that is highly beneficial when it comes to who they're deciding to interact with, who is not just their customer, right? But someone that they're going to have some kind of relationship with, all right? And that also connects to the second reason about being interactive with small groups. Quality over quantity. So again, connecting the first point to the second point. They're not worried about 20 billion people. It's just the right ones. And this, of course, applies, period. Like I advocate for an artist y'all don't get too caught up in these numbers unless there's something that needs to be accomplished when you reach a certain number. All right. But all in all, quality and consistency when it comes to who you are interacting with, consistency, and they consistently receive value from you, and they know that when they go to you, they're going to get something that they deem as valuable. And of course, the introvert typically enjoys spending time with self. Like they're diving inward, because they know that there's something that needs to be examined here. There's a reason why that introverted artist wants to do the work. They enjoy being behind the scenes, if you will, air quotes, behind the scenes. They enjoy that because that for them, that's how they roll. That's how it flows. That's how creativity flows from them. Right? So all in all, y'all, listen, I would promote being balanced in both areas, being balanced as much as possible, knowing when to pull the card out, when to put the card away. I attended an event. There were a lot of people there. It was great. I was, interacting with them, engaging in conversations, giving hugs, receiving hugs, right? That physical contact it's transferring energy, right? It's transferring energy. And so I was mindful enough in the evening right after the event, decompress, be intentional with decompressing, I did some stretches. I did a meditation. Of course, I pray, but then I did like a meditation where I'm sit in silence or listen to, there are a lot of different things that you can listen to, but listen to something that, will clear my energy, will clear and like totally give me clarity. I identify very well with singing bowls or things that will clear your chakras and things like that. I don't want to completely open that conversation because then it's like all these other questions, but I want to quickly say I'm intentional about understanding what I've picked up during the day and what I don't want to go to bed with. Like, I don't want to go with, I don't want to sit with those kind of energies when I'm in a vulnerable state of sleep. So it pays along, beyond the idea of money. It just serves you so well to be aware of these balances. Like, okay, cool. Spent a lot of energy, but also picked up a lot of energy around a lot of people. Now I want to, go to that place of sitting with self, go to that place of solitude and just decompress. It's so necessary. Again, you have to own that you are more mindful and thoughtful, say as an introvert. You have to own it. Even as an extrovert, you have to own that and say, okay, this is where I'm at with it. Like, I can't be trying to, say forget being an introvert and I just got to force myself to talk more. I have to force myself to be in front of a video, to make a video, or force myself. No. You can own up to who you are. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And it looks like this episode is a little bit over half an hour. And you know what? I'm cool with it if you're cool with it. So you already know who it is and what it is. And I want you to remember, always, always, always remember that you are the value. Come on now. All right. I love y'all so much. Take care. Artists, creatives, and designers, it has been an honor and a pleasure to spend this time with you. I'm grateful for your encouragement, love, respect, and support. Follow this podcast and share this episode with another creative who needs to hear it. Your positive ratings and reviews are highly appreciated. Screen capture this episode, post it, and tag me on Instagram at DreamAloudArt so I can show the love in return. For more information on having an artist consultation with me or for being on the YouTube show for artist interviews, check the description on this episode or go to respecttheartist.com. That's RESPECTHEARTISTS.com. Much love to y'all. And remember, RTA stands for Respect the Artists. I'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace, peace from here to the Far East.